I'm Steve Higgins and I'm a writer, blogger and a poet, and what I'd like to do today is talk about poetry, talk about writing poetry. I don't suppose I can tell you how to write, everyone's got a different way of writing, but I'm going to talk about how I write poetry, how I've put my poems together. I'm going to choose maybe 2 or 3 and talk about them, and hopefully if you're interested in poetry, interested in writing poetry, it might just be the little spark that gets you scribbling away. Basically it's 3, maybe 2 different ways of writing a poem. One is where the poem literally comes to you. I remember reading somewhere that Paul McCartney said that he doesn't write any of his melodies, they're all up there in the ether and he just coaxes them down like the dove from above. I suppose that's a bit of a romantic idea. I'm sure Paul McCartney, we all know he's a very creative guy, he's been going for years writing songs, making music, but that's quite an interesting way of describing the way he writes, pulling the melodies down. I mean, I've done that with some of my poems, in particular one of my favourite poems, The Long and Dusty Road of Life. If you're interested, you can find it in this book. I don't like to keep plugging it, but here's the very first verse from it. A short road, a long road, I travelled only once road. It's the long and dusty road of life. It's heartache, happiness and strife. And I do love this particular poem, and I like the rhythm of it. It's got a really good rhythm, almost like a song, and I think that's one thing to look for in a poem. A good rhythm and a good lyrical quality. Not doesn't necessarily have to rhyme, but I think what's important is the sounds of word. If you can make one sound bring back the memory of something, of another word that sounds similar, or an emotion, that is something to look for. A short road, a long road, a travelled only once road. It's the long and dusty road of life. It's heartache, happiness and strife. A happy road, a clean road is the road that I desire. A cheerful road, a sweet singing music road, free from muddy mire. Let my road be a long road, a fondly remembered high road, and don't let me detour at a crossroads or linger on a lonely road. One day I'll need a fast road, a rushing road, a quickly time is running out road, and I'll breathe my last in a quiet road, a by road, an end of the line side road. For journey's end is a sad road, a goodbye and thanks for all you've done road, a cul-de-sac, an avenue, a long gone distant road, and as time passes it soon becomes a travelled long ago road. What I particularly like about this poem, it's got a great rhythm to it. I mean, poetry doesn't have to rhyme, but it's got to have some kind of lyrical quality. It's got to have a quality that sets it apart from prose, from ordinary blogs and the written word and stories and so on. And a great poem has a little rhythm to it, a little lyrical quality that binds it together, like a little song in a way. And The Long and Dusty Road of Life, I think, is like that. But to be honest with you, in some ways I don't feel I can claim a lot of credit to it, because it just literally came to me. I might have had to work on a couple of lines here and there, find something that went together better, but generally speaking, that just came to me, and that is the best, the purest way of writing a poem. Sometimes a poem comes to you in kind of odd ways. I remember once coming home from work, when I used to have a van. I remember coming home from work, parking the van up, went into the house, and the houses where I lived then all had a little green in front of them. You weren't allowed to put a fence up or anything, so I had a little green. The house opposite was the same. There was a little road, a little fence, and they were small houses. They were pretty close together. And I went into the kitchen, put the kettle on to make a cup of tea, and as I was looking through the window waiting for the water, I noticed this cat sort of meandering about, went to the house opposite, had a good look round and settled down under this tree and went to sleep. What a big deal. It was actually their cat. The cat lived in that house, so it's not a big deal. So then I, had a cup of tea, sandwich, started watching telly and just pretty much forgot about it. A little bit later on, there was a bit of a commotion. There was something going on there, and I don't exactly know what it was. I couldn't be bothered to get up and take a look. A bit later on, I was married at the time. My wife came in, and she mentioned something about something going on across the road. And I said, "Well, wait a minute, what was that?" And she said the lady who lived across the road had come to get a cat. Shouted it, dinner's ready or whatever, your dinner's out. And the cat never moved, never looked up. And when she went to it, the cat was dead. The cat had actually died. And it's kind of seemed to me that I'd seen its last moments as though it knew it was going to die, and it had taken a last look around. This is a great life, it's nice and sunny, I'm going to sit down under this tree and go to sleep. The cat across the road. Everything seemed in order as opposed to die. It was a warm enough day, certainly. The sun shone and the birds sung, even though birds would cause a feline heart to race normally. I've had my fill of life, of titbits and cosy sleeps, sometimes in next door's shed, informally. And I've had my chases and midnight hunts, and I've always remembered my owners and left them a mouse or two, naturally. A last cuddle would have been nice. Still, all in all, it's been a good life, and I've loved it enormously. I've always liked this tree. I can keep my eye on the birds, and the sun comes down warmly. So now I'll just close my eyes and die, and go on to the next of my 9 lives, expectantly. So that was a poem that sort of partly came to me. I mean, I still had to work at it. It wasn't like it was from above and came to me, but I had to work at that one. And the 2 poems I mentioned to you are ones that give me quite a lot of pleasure to read. Obviously, another way of writing a poem is actually to sit down and put the effort into it. I remember a while ago I saw a competition in a magazine for a love poem. And I thought to myself, can I write about love? I don't know. So I ended up sitting down, doodling, writing down lots of words about love, relevant words, adore, care for, and so on and so on. After a lot of thinking and a lot of doodling, the phrase that came to me was, "No need to talk of love." And I sometimes think that there are different types of people, aren't there? There are some who are quite happy to talk about their emotions and about love and so on. And there are people like me who don't necessarily want to talk about it. I don't think it's something that can be said. I mean, I like to think my dad loved me and my mother, but neither of them ever said, "I love you, Steve." I mean, I don't think they were the kind of people who would do that, but there are people like that who keep things inside. They certainly keep, not necessarily their emotions, but the feelings and the words. You don't have to say "I love you" if you're doing some great deed for someone, if you're helping someone, for instance. No, my mum and dad looked after me, brought me up, fed me, clothed me. Why should they say they love me? I knew they loved me by their actions. And that's the sort of phrase that came to me, "No need to talk of love." And I sort of worked on it, and I came up with "No need to talk of love, let's talk of something else instead." And then I gradually put that poem together. And it goes a little bit like this. No need to talk of love, a poem by me, Steve Higgins. No need to talk of love, some things are better left unsaid. I didn't tell you then, and I can hardly tell you now, although some days I find the thought hanging on my lips. Deep inside I'll say the words, I can see them like hot breath on a cold night, though I can't say them out loud. Better to wait for darker days, for eulogies perhaps, for talking about the dead. After all, it's what's inside that matters, so let's talk about something else instead. The sky's a little overcast, but this ain't brighten up tomorrow. No need to talk of love, some things are better left unsaid. Yeah, so I mean, there are people who, like I say, don't want to talk about love or don't feel the need to do it. They should maybe feel that they let their actions speak for them instead of their words, and that's how I came across that line, no need to talk of love. And I started off like this. I followed up with some things are better left unsaid. So here we go. No need to talk of love, some things are better left unsaid. And it goes on a little bit, and then I think, like a lot of people, when you're confronted sometimes with strong emotions like love, you might want to change the subject. So in the poem, the narrative goes off a little bit, goes off at a little tangent. After all, it's what's inside that matters, so let's talk about something else instead. The sky's a little overcast, but they say I'll brighten up tomorrow. No need to talk of love, some things are better left unsaid. So really it's a way of talking about love in an oblique way, about someone who doesn't want to talk about love. The love is there, but we're putting it to one side a little bit. Let's talk about something else instead. Anyway, that's all from me. I hope it's been interesting, this little talk about poetry, and I hope it's got you writing. If you're interested in writing poetry, get your notepad out, choose a subject, and just start writing stuff down. Just start brainstorming. When you think you've got a page full of stuff, start deleting the chaff, the stuff that you don't need. Get rid of that and see if you can wind up with some nice lyrical, some resonant phrases that you can build into a poem. If you get fed up with it, don't throw it away. Come back to it the next day. Have a look at it before you go to bed. Have a look at it in the morning. You'll find a little bit of time, a little bit of a rest, a little bit of a breather, and you find you're looking at things in a completely different way. So that's all from me. I'm Steve Higgins. You can read my blogs at stevehigginslive.com. You can find my poetry at writeoutloud.net, and you can find some of my poetry videos here on YouTube. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time, and in the meantime, stay safe.